thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. There's been a widespread condemnation across the Israeli political spectrum over Syrian President Bashar Assad's use of chemical weapons in the city of Idlib. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, based in the UK, currently estimates that the chemical attack has left 72 dead, including 20 children, but warns that that number is likely to rise. The strongest condemnation from the Israeli political arena came from President Reuven Rivlin, who said yesterday, quote, "We as a people who survived the greatest of atrocities and rose from the ashes to be a strong and secure nation, will do all we can to continue to aid the survivors of the horrors of Syria," end quote. The president went on to warn that, "We know all too well how dangerous silence can be, and we cannot remain mute." Rivlin's call for intervention was mirrored by Finance Minister Moshe Kahlon, who pulled no punches in saying that genocide is ongoing in Syria, and that Israel, the state of the Jewish people, must take moral responsibility and open its gates to treat children who are victims of genocide. Neither resources nor moral determination are lacking for this. However, it seems unlikely that Israel will resort to military action. Major General in the Reserves Amos Yadlin, head of the Institute for National Security Studies and former head of the military intelligence, had at first advocated for military intervention, but later recanted, saying that Assad's actions, as heinous as they may be, do not cross a red line for Israel. The red line often refers to actions that directly endanger the Jewish state, such as attacks against Israeli civilians or the transferring of advanced weapons to organizations like the Lebanese terror group Hezbollah. According to the United States Federal District Court, a lawsuit brought against the American Studies Association for its academic boycott of Israel will be heard. The case, called Bronner v. Duggan, was raised by 4 college professors and says that the A.S.A's boycott violates D.C. law regarding what a nonprofit tax-exempt organization can and cannot do, namely that the A.S.A. cannot act beyond its stated charter. Further, the plaintiffs argue that the boycott goes against the American Studies Association's own rules to strengthen relations among persons and institutions in this country and abroad. The A.S.A. requested that the case be dismissed, saying it infringed on their First Amendment rights to free speech. The A.S.A. first adopted a boycott against Israel in December 2013 and has since targeted specific institutions but not individuals. Now, though the federal court did approve the ability to sue the A.S.A., the judge did dismiss the idea that the A.S.A. was behaving outside of its charter. That being said, the lawsuit is hardly the only pushback that the American Studies Association has met for joining in the international BDS movement. Since adopting the boycott resolution, at least 4 United States universities have withdrawn their membership from the A.S.A., and most other major universities and educational organizations like the MLA and the American Anthropological Association have not followed suit. The Justice Ministry Commission for Equal Rights for People with Disabilities is today suing the Israeli taxi service Get and 2 of its drivers for refusing to pick up a man with visual impairment and his guide dog. The case was filed in Tel Aviv and is demanding 125,000 shekels, or just over $35,000 in damages. According to the plaintiffs, when the daughter of Herzl Cohen, a visually impaired man, ordered a taxi for her father, the driver arrived only to notice that Cohen had a guide dog. The driver left, despite Cohen's protestations that the taxi driver was legally obligated to take the dog as well. After the first taxi left, Cohen ordered another one, but the second driver refused as well. Get, formerly known as Get Taxi, has stated that it's not responsible, as the application only serves as a mediator between drivers and passengers, and that the company is not responsible for any damage, inconvenience, loss, or distress caused directly or indirectly by drivers. The Justice Ministry Commission argues, however, that Get was negligent for not instructing drivers on how to behave, specifically with respect to the Equal Rights for Persons with Disabilities law. According to Avrami Toram, the Commissioner for Equal Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the law states very clearly that people with disabilities are entitled to participate equally in every sphere of life. He continued to say, quote, "Blind people assisted by seeing eye dogs frequently use taxis in order to get from place to place. One of the unpleasant experiences that unfortunately repeats itself is that even after the enactment of the Equal Status Law, taxi drivers refuse to pick them up into their taxi or pass by and don't stop. The enactment was intended to prevent instances of blatant discrimination against people with disabilities and the refusal to provide them with service," end quote. Israeli Knesset member Ksenia Svetlova just got happily hitched this week, but the exciting news is making headlines for a darker reason. Svetlova ended up tying the knot in an Indian island nation of Seychelles as part of a larger goal to protest the chief rabbinate's monopoly on marriage in Israel. Israeli law mandates that all Jewish marriages must be conducted by an exclusive religious council that only recognizes Orthodox ceremonies. Those who wish to marry outside the faith or marry someone who isn't Jewish according to their standards are forced to marry abroad. Zionist Union member Svetlova has long championed civil marriages in Israel, saying that, quote, no one has ownership of Judaism, and it is inconceivable that in a Jewish state, one obsessive body will have an absolute monopoly on our lives, end quote. A poll released last month showed that 72% of Jewish Israelis support civil marriages, and that 76% of Arab Israelis support marriage freedom, allowing people to marry outside their faith. It looks like Knesset member Svetlova wasn't the only one dealing with marriage challenges in Israel this week. For some, yesterday marked a true celebration of love, when 10 couples of new immigrants sealed the deal in the Holy Land as part of just one ceremony. But it turns out that the couples are actually Indian Jewish couples from the Bnei Menashe lost tribe, which are believed to be descended from one of the 10 lost tribes exiled from the land of Israel over 2,700 years ago. This actually wasn't the first time getting hitched either. The group wedding ceremony is part of the couple's formal conversion to Judaism, even though in 2005, former Sephardic chief Shlomo Amar approved their claim of Jewish heritage. The couples are among about 102 new immigrants who immigrated from India in February. As of today, around 3,000 Bnei Menashe have immigrated to Israel, while currently an estimated 7,000 remain in India. Their immigration has been facilitated by the Shavei Israel organization, which aims to find lost Jewish communities around the world and bring them to Israel. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.